Hello everyone, Loel the Skeleton Wizard here. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Because I'm bored and I have nothing to do. Well, I have stuff to do, but you get the point. What you're watching right now is actually a video recorded yesterday with my nice webcam. And I'm decorating my tree for a picture that I'm going to be taking tomorrow for a drama project. Right now, I'm just taking off all the golden decorations that were left on it from last year and the champagne lights because I don't need them. But I thought it would be fun if I were to read a little bit of the Ace of Clubs book, to get you guys, wanting to read it when it actually comes out. It's coming out on Wattpad, not like you can't go to a store and be like, oh my gosh, it's the Ace of Clubs book. No, it'll be like you go onto Wattpad and you read it kind of thing. And if we get through I'll get through a good certain amount of scenes. I'm thinking probably just the first scene of this, and then I'll read you the only scene that we have of Into the Cyber World, or A Cyber's World. I don't know what we said, but that's the second Ace of Clubs book that'll be coming up. This is the first one, so this is Prologue. Surface 1. Long ago, two races ruled over the town of Tilcia. Humans and monsters. The humans, though always determined, were born with one of the 9 main soul traits: determination, bravery, justice, kindness, patience, integrity, perseverance, fear, and hatred. These traits would determine the kinds of magic they were capable of. The most powerful of these humans formed the Wizard's Council, used to keep the town safe and to make decisions based on discussions and issues brought up at meetings. As the years went on, things became more complicated. The humans began to be born traitless, and though some would develop them as life went on, most didn't, causing the human race to slowly lose its magic. This threatened Micah, the Wizard of Determination. In their eyes, a human born powerless is weak, and could lead to the monsters realizing they're more powerful, causing them to take over. Their paranoia caused them to call an emergency meeting. They brought up the issue of the traitless humans, but the king drove it into the ground very quickly. Micah, King Harold said, the monsters wouldn't hurt us unless they were told to. And think about it logically. King Asgore is one of the softest kings they could ever have. He has a daughter, for crying out loud, not to mention a child on the way. You don't know that, sir, they replied. But if they were to find out that children were being born with no power or trait, monsters have no soul trait either, no determination. They're not going to fight because of a different soul. Sir, they still have powers. They're more powerful than us. Just like them, you have a child on the way you should be worrying about. Indeed he does. Asa, the Wizard of Integrity, spoke up, meaning he has more important things to worry about than your paranoid outbursts. Asa stood up from the table, pushing her chair in. I think we're done here. Asa shot around and to the door, walking out. Harold looked at the door and stood up himself. You are dismissed, he said, allowing the rest of the council to leave. Micah stood up last and walked over to the king, placing their hand on his shoulder. Sir, you don't understand. We have to take action before they do. I need to do no such thing. They aren't going to set our houses ablaze. They aren't going to try and kill you or any of the heads, and they aren't going to declare war. What I need you to do is get some rest, take a break, and try to calm down, okay? Without waiting for their response, Harold turned around and walked out of the meeting hall. Micah glared at the door, finally snapping, Fine. If you won't take action, I will. They half whispered, taking a few steps back and teleporting out. So that is the first scene ever in Ace of Clubs, the book. And if you want to read it, or if you want to know what happens next, you gotta wait for the book to come out. I'm actually really, really, really far in it now. Thank goodness. But it was taking a while. So next I'll read you, where is it? I'll read you Ace of Clubs into the Cyber's world. We only have one scene for it. It's not the first scene, it's just a scene. Where is it? And I'll read it to you just so you guys have a little hint as to what's happening. Of Clubs into the Cyber's world. Okay, so here we go. So this is the first and only scene we have for the second one, which is what officially tells them that, hey, Deltarune is linked to the Undertale universe. Is this another dark world? Susie asked, walking dangerously close to the door. Chris walked up beside her, a look of surprise painted on their face. How is that possible? We already closed the fountain in the underground. Chris and Susie looked to each other, not knowing how to react. Wait, hold on a second. Stop talking, Lola demanded, walking in front of the duo. Did you just say the underground? And more importantly, another dark world? Susie looked at her with an eyebrow raised, tilting her head before she oh'd silently. Right. You weren't you weren't with us the first time, Susie said, pausing as she searched for an explanation. Finding none that would be simple enough to believe. You won't believe us if we explained, so don't worry about it. Lola stood up straight, a hand on her hip. You're talking to the half-human girl who was thrown in the underground by her own mother, was raised from 4 years old by a goat monster, been through a mass genocide, and didn't even remember, and a whole lot more. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, I wouldn't believe. Susie crossed her arms, doubting severely that she wouldn't make a fool of herself, then sighed. Chris and I went exploring in the old school in the underground about a year before we were freed from the underground. We found this old closet, and when we opened it, we couldn't see anything. We went inside, which was odd, because it seemed quite big, and the next thing we know, we're in the dark world. To make a long story short, we defeated the evil king and sealed the dark fountain as to help balance the light and dark, whatever that means. Then we woke up at the end of the day in the old classroom that was just down the hall. Susie explained, watching Lola to make sure she was understanding. Since then, Chris continued, we visited the friends we met there almost every day, until the week you guys went to break the barrier. The day we met you officially, we ran to the dark world and told Rouse what was going on, and we promised to visit him. So that's where you guys were this morning, Lola said. I covered for you two darks, and you decide you aren't going to tell me y'all are heroes? That's quite cruel of you, Lola joked in amazement. Do those playing cards in your pocket have something to do with this dark world? We're the Lightners. We live in the real world. We know, Susie began, gesturing to the three of them. We can travel in between dark and light world. No sweat. But Darkners are different. When they come to the real world, they turn into objects that represent them. The rule card is Rules card, aka Metaton on Kraketh. Chris snickered slightly at the description. The other card is Lancer, a close friend of mine. Lola nodded, following along in fascination. However, somehow the fountain must have opened again, and now the dark world has come to the surface. Lola turned to look at the dark computer lab, backing up to stand beside the duo. And my friend fell in? Lola asked, in severe concern. Chris nodded. The trio stood silent for a while, gawking at the dark doorway for what felt like ages. Susie walked forward, slightly turning around. So, are we just gonna stand here while Noel and Dusk are stuck in the dark world? Or are we going to go kick this fountain's ass? She demanded, standing in an excited stance. Think about it. We've both been to hell and back in our own ways, had amazing adventures. What's one more? Lola and Chris looked at each other, Lola having a look of surprise on her face, and Chris smirking and walking forward, jumping in like they had been waiting for permission. Susie glanced at Lola. You coming, Lola, or do I have to drag you? Lola nodded, taking a starting stance and running into the dark, followed immediately by Susie. So once again, if you want to know what happens next, you gotta wait for the books to come out. The first book will come out soon, sooner than this one, obviously, and the second book will come out at some point to follow. I actually have my brother's help on the second one. The first one's mainly just me. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. If you want to read my other books, I have a ton of other books. Go onto Wattpad at LLDTSW, all capitals. It's a really weird name, but it stands for Lola Lynn Dreamer, the Skeleton Wizard, because I couldn't put that as my name, and at the time I couldn't use Lola Lynn Dreamer official because of the stupid rules. So, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed my little voiceover of this tree decorating. There's still like 2 minutes left of the video, but I have literally nothing to say. So I'm going to let you guys go. And, yeah. See you in tomorrow's video. Bye!